You, what going on? It's your boy Jah, back with another one. I have a special guest here. What had happened was, so last week, me and my brother had an episode talking about Club Shay Shay and Monique and her situation with basically every comedian in the game that she ever interacted with, and Tyler Perry and Oprah and all these other people. And a situation came up about her son. And so that led for this guest to come on and actually call in because that was a call in episode. And it inspired me to bring her on so we can talk about mama trauma and mother wounds. Um, it doesn't get spoken or talked about a lot. I think mothers are given a lot of grace, right? If we're honest, they're given a lot of grace, especially when you compare it to fathers and dads and whatnot. So we don't talk about mother wounds that much, but I think it'd be better done with a woman because it would not be received as well if it came from a man, as we witnessed how Shalon was attacked in the comments and everything for telling his part of the truth. So I'm gonna bring her on after this. And if you're wondering, my my jar of passion fruit sea moss is almost done. So I wasn't lying. I'm three quarters the way through that jar of sea moss because it's delicious and I can't wait to get more. It's that serious. So we don't just promote things on here just willy-nilly and we're not getting paid, so we ain't got no reason to lie. I really like it. All right. I forget to bring the jar to show you for proof, but it's not necessary. Take my word. You can trust ya. All right. But you know what we're gonna do? We'll be right back right after these messages. There she is, Miss Chinell White. Hey, thanks for coming on. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people?
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. I am Chinell White. I am a mother of one child. I'm the oldest of nine children. I'm a wife. I'm feisty. I'm loving. I'm just a yummy, delicious roller coaster, having a human experience who love healing. So this is why choosing to share, tools that I think somebody else could take away. It's not about bashing tonight. It's all about information, awareness, and changing the narrative.
So it's important that we recognize that it's not about bashing. We're talking about personal experience. Too often, people try to get upset when someone else is sharing their personal experience. Even if that was not your experience, that doesn't make that person's perspective false. Two people can live in the same house even and have a different experience. They can have the same parents and have a different experience. You can be twins. It does not matter. Marcus Norman says, my four jars of sea moss came in yesterday. If it ain't natural liberty, we ain't trying to hear it. If it ain't natural liberty, we ain't trying to hear about your sea moss. I bet you probably bought it from a white man. It's Black History Month. CJ says, yo, good night, good night, good night, good night, Miss CJ, good night.
CJ, I like CJ mine. I like the way she process information.
Uh-huh. We saw that a little bit on the last episode. Please go ahead and watch that one with my brother. It's asking, is Club Shay Shay Gang too messy? So go ahead and look that up. Miguel, me see you in a minute, man. Blessed night. All right, so let's jump into it. So first, it's crazy because we were talking backstage just for a little bit. Come to find out, we are both the oldest of nine children. That is a hell of an experience, you know. First of all, to be the oldest, that's an experience in itself. But of that many children, mm. So let's get into it. What was it like being the oldest of nine? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so My story is very delicious because I like to think I'm the oldest of nine. My mom had me young. So it's like I grew up with her. My son had me young too. So it's like he grew up with me. So me and my mother's stories kind of mirror each other. So being the oldest, you kind of have to grow up before your time. Because you gotta help with the other siblings. So you kind of like when I was growing up, um, people my age, we were more mature than the kids nowadays. We had a lot more responsibility. But I also grew up with my grandmother. So I grew up very old school. So I kind of like I would say the best of both worlds. But, in life, my mom was a young mother. So there's different levels of parenting. So sometimes even my siblings wouldn't understand because they was not alive in that time. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I still don't remember having like one of those childhood like whites on TV.
I don't think a lot of us had that experience. I love Family Matters and those type of shows, but man, I coveted them people because they seem spoiled to me.
Yeah,
What even for Family Matters, that man was making good money to be in Chicago on a cop salary. They
yeah,
were living pretty good.
yeah,
But the thing about being the oldest, there's a lot of things. It puts you in an in between place and kind of in between a rock and a hard place. It's funny because when I was in Atlanta, quick anecdote, when I was in Atlanta, went to the bar. It was just me and the bartender, and he was also the eldest, and I felt like me and this dude connected, like because we just end up talking about being the oldest and how it feels to be the golden child and like the second parent, and
yeah,
like people looking up to you, but you kind of stumbling through life. You don't really know what you're doing. You don't have anybody to lead you for real, but you have these people behind you that are looking like, yeah, I want to be just like him. Oh, he does everything great. And it kind of puts you in this weird space.
yeah,
Like, you're not perfect, but you need to be perfect for who's looking up to you. But
yeah.
you're not a parent. You're still a child because your parents are going to remind you, except for when you have to take care of other children.
hmm It's weird, and then it becomes like for me, and I'm learning this as with age. Like my siblings problems, I would take it on like they're my children. So it's like I stumble between being a big sister and feeling like I'm their parent because I pretty much helped raise them too. I was the village. So it's like disrespect and stuff would be more personal because in my mind I change your pamper. So it's like for me, I'm still learning how to be a sister, and they're not my children, and still I'm the oldest. There's certain things that, whether I'm your sister or not, I don't deal with disrespect on certain things. If you want to communicate with me, we could communicate, but yelling and screaming, we're not doing that. Cause my son don't do that to me. My husband don't do that to me, you know? So,
Senator Whitaker, look at that. Good evening, all. You have a wonderful guest this evening, Jack. Greetings, Chanel White, and great topic.
but one of the things,
CJ.
being an oldest child, like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I think I struggle with my own mom is my mom is a mom that she's not a vocal person. So who I am today is because my mom wasn't that person. So even though people see me and my mom and we're like the same person, we have the same personality. But what I want from her is more or less stand up for me. Like I don't need a friend. I need you to stand up for me, but that's just not her personality. So I
Yeah.
had to be that person to be vocal, and I'm the person in the family where people things that people wouldn't talk about, I would talk about because I see things on a different perspective. Like, no, everybody just cannot be silent and secret and what they in the house, stay in the house. Like, no, we
Yeah.
have to bring awareness.
Miguel says your husband can't scream at you, classmate. He know better.
That's my classmate too. He know growing up, he went elementary and me. I always been a little rebel.
Now, I used to hear a lot. You're so mature for your age. I thought you were older, this, that, and the third. And in my mind is like, yeah, because I had to take care of children. You know what I'm saying? Because I was forced to grow up. Do you feel like you had to kind of force right? And do you think that a part of you misses the childhood that you missed out on?
Yes, so let me give you a little backstory about me. Because I feel I'm the oldest and because I feel I had to grow up before my time, and because I feel like, and my family is have mostly women. So in my family, there's more women than men, right? And women are more the ones that take control, right? So I already growing up feeling like men ain't that important, right? So growing up, now I kind of lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Wait, what the question was? Somebody spoke about this backstage, and I just kind of like, you know.
That's all right. That's all right. We're gonna bring it back around. So the question was, do you feel like you had to kind of force right?
Okay,
And do
okay.
you kind of mourn the childhood that you lost?
So let me tell you how it affected me. So I have one son, I have one child. Because my mother had so many children and I saw so many sacrifices, that scared me. So I only have one, right? I never lived with a man until my husband. I was 35 years old living with a man for the first time. Because when you grow up with women and when you grow up seeing certain stories and it's like you get traumatized, right? So for me, I opted out on more children. I opted out on, I got married, but even that was a struggle because I still do struggle with the skills of listening and partnering and, because that's a skill I never had because it was hard to deal with me. So healing is helping me, learn how to coexist, you know? But that pretty much, seeing my mother struggle kind of like make me like, damn, life, I don't want life to be that hard. I want to be selfish with my time because I saw her being selfless.
So you responded the opposite way to what you saw.
Yes, yes. And it was
Okay.
intentional.
Okay. Let's backtrack because this is on me. I like to give a little bit of education and background on what we're talking about. So let me do this. All right. The mother wound. This is by Psychology Today. How our relationships with our mothers affect our codependency. The mother wound is not a typical term you may hear in a counseling or therapy session, but it may be a factor that is influencing your relationship with partners, just like Miss White just talked about. While the mother wound is most often associated with daughters, it is possible for sons to also have mother wounds. The best way to think of the mother wound is a loss or a lack of mothering. This is typically a deficit in the mother daughter or mother son relationships that is passed down through generations, and it is a reflection on how we have experienced parenting and how we parent. While not a specific diagnosis, it is a way of looking at how current codependency behaviors may be linked to missing elements in the past. One of the missing elements we kind of talked about, you missed out on a childhood. Common signs of a mother wound are low self esteem or self worth, codependency or excessive independence, fear of rejection and abandonment, self sabotaging behaviors such as substance abuse, self harming, boundary issues, or difficulties in expressing emotions. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now we touched on that, right? What has been your experience within our community? with generational curses related to mothers and mothering?
Where to start, because I know, I went for therapy and stuff like that, right? So I'm speaking from a place of knowing, right? And that's why I choose to do this live, because I think we are so mentally exhausted and emotionally exhausted. Sometimes we even emotionally unavailable because we're so busy with life that we don't understand that a lot of our issues as a parent, it have to go back to self. Because as much as a parent could be like, I love my child, will do anything for my child, until you know how to love yourself, until you understand boundaries, until you understand, like for me, I had abandonment issues and codependency issues. Because at one point, my father wasn't in my life, and then my mom wasn't in my life. I was raised with my grandmother. So I grew up feeling abandoned and feeling like, why my father ain't fight for me? Why, like, I'm a child and that's how I was feeling. Of course, when you grow up and you have grace for your parents because they was doing the best that they knew. But when I became a parent now, because remember now, I have codependence issues and I have abandonment issues. And then now, my first love, we end up getting a child together. So now, when you don't have skills, rejection is crazy. You don't know how to handle rejection. You don't know how to handle, because in the environment I come from, women are supposed to act crazy when they're rejected, when they get cheated on. It's like that's part of the toolkit. Girl, you better kill it. So I became dangerous when my son father and I broke up, because I don't come in with these issues. He's trying to love me. But remember now, I dependent on his love. So now his love is like a crack. So when now his love is, when he's stressed out, I can't deal with it no more, because it takes a lot to be with somebody with so much issues, right? So when he decided to take away his love, you know what I create? A monster, a whole monster, because I didn't have the tools. So now I'm a parent. I had my son young. So now I'm a parent at 16. I'm trying to figure out, even though I'm a big sister, this is a real child. This child really belongs to me. I have to parent this child. So you know how much trauma I put on the child too? I put a lot of trauma on my son. So he was dealing with mommy issues, you know, and he ended up going to prison because I had hate his father so much that it was crazy for him to co-parent with me. I became so toxic and just crazy while having
Let me
a child.
let me ask you something there. You said you had hate his father so much, right?
Mhm.
Does your son look like his father?
Everything like his father.
Okay. Now,
But I
did
love my
you ever
son.
find yourself, like taking out any of that animosity? Like you see him, but you see his father too. Did you ever end up taking out any of that on your son?
No, I did a complete opposite. What I did was, cause when my son father and I break up, cause my son father was trauma too. Cause when I was pregnant, when my son was 4 months, he had another baby. Remember, in that time, he was like my savior. He was like my everything. This is my family. So now the fairy tale in my mind, because women do have their own storyline going on in their mind. So when now my storyline is now with how my life just changed. I
The
became
father,
a,
was he older than you?
yes, he was older than me.
How much older than you?
five
If you
years.
could,
Yeah, 5 years.
I knew
So
it.
he was
Go
the
ahead. Go
so
ahead.
he
Wiz.
was the he actually like raised me. You know that kind of how? Because he teach me everything. He do everything. He was like Jesus in that time. So when that happened to that little girl who father leave, she feel abandoned. She don't know nothing about self-worth and self-love. She just expect him to fix me, and now he's gone. That was a trauma, right? So now the anger now, I try to do everything because he and my son had a good relationship, but then because I hate him, I want to sabotage the relationship with him and his father. Like, no, you have other children, go deal with your children. I was not nice.
You see, I've heard this kind of story before. That's why I asked you if he was older, because this is why people say that older men being with younger women, like they know that they get in there and they lock you in, right? And you can't look after that. There, you ain't gonna look at somebody your age the same
No,
way,
it's
man.
because I never been with nobody my age. My son father is my first. Like that's true. That is true. I don't even know how it is to be with somebody in my age group. My husband 20 years older than me.
Mm,
So it's like my age group, I can't relate to them. So it looked like
thank you.
something happened. And my dad was older than my mom too.
I've heard a partner of mine have been with this girl. This is my story to tell. But he had been with this girl, and this was her first baby father, right? She was one of multiple, right? But like she never loved a man like she loved this dude. And then when she finally confessed to him why she couldn't give that part of her to him, it was because of basically what you're saying. Like this man was my like he was my father. He teach me, he trained me, he showed me things I never seen before. We did all kind of thing. So anything this man wanted to do, she was down and happy. So she could never give that part of her again. And we don't talk about these things.
Yeah. I think with my story, me and my son father have a good relationship now. But through the years, I tried killing him already. Like it was just like because I blame him for me being in the world. Because remember, this was my first. So I grew up in the church and I grew up with, you gotta be married before sex and all these different things. So when it's like now I don't have a child, I'm now a single parent, and it's like you move on. I saw him as the bad person, and I took a lot of anger out, and I destroyed the relationship with his father and my son because I was ridiculous. I was ridiculous. I was really terrible. I wanted to control his life. I
Mhm.
I was too much. So I know toxic. I know there's mothers that they don't understand like you're poison. And until you heal, you're gonna keep bleeding on people. So my son now, my son had to be my therapist. When he mother crying, he got rub my back, he got kiss me. So my son told me while he was in jail, he was like, "Mommy, you're very emotionally, I forget the word, emotionally handicapped." So when my son went in jail is when we start to, okay, he went in jail for 6 years. And we start to have the conversations, like the real conversation. And he said, mommy, I always want, because he's an only child. He said, I always wanted to have another, I wish I had like a brother or something. Here it is. I thought my son don't need no siblings. He just have, he spoiling him, gonna be but he wanted a sibling. Here it is. He wanted to be around his father, but because I jealous and I angry, it's like, you know, I don't like Jaja is mine now. It's like this is mine. You make all them other chair, you make your decision. I can't explain it, but it wasn't nice. And even different relationships, that relationship with my son father paralyzed every other relationship. Cause I
Damn.
would be like you, like the friend says she loved, but it's like part of she is like for me what trauma though. For me it's like
Yeah.
this is what they're capable of. They're capable of doing something that you think they wouldn't do. They would destroy you. It's things to tell yourself that I don't know.
Let me ask you this, right? You're very transparent and you've made it clear that you feel it's very important that you share your stories. And thank you. Because most people can't be vulnerable like this because our ego and like we're avoiding that shame
Yes.
because that shame to keep us from doing so much. Because I got a bunch of things that I am ashamed of to this day, and other people might not even look at it like that ain't even that serious. We all go through that. So why do you think it's so important to tell these stories?
It's very important. Let me tell you something. When my son started to act out, right? When he was like 10 years old and he started to like act out, I was young and I was getting in trouble too. And I remember taking my son for therapy because I'm like, I'm saying I started to really, come to terms like, okay, some shit, like, I don't want my son to be at me. He got to be better than me, right? And I remember sitting down with a therapist and he ended up being my spiritual advisor. And, just that conversation, it was like, no man, the way we learn to parent in the islands is very aggressive. It's very shouting and yelling, and it's like the child is a slave. The child can't have a voice. It's what you say is how it go, and it have its benefits in that structure too. Because sometimes you need to let them children know what time it is, but also what parenting class. Because after the therapy, I went for parenting class, so I got tools, right? But what I learned on my journey, right, is the minute you start to take accountability and realize that I is part of this problem, because it's easy to say I've been a good mother. Nobody want to be the bad guy, but let's be real. I've been a 16-year-old mother. I was a child. Ain't no way I could have been perfect at 16. That's reality. I'm learning with this child. So what I learned on my journey is, no, we gotta tell this story because clearly it been 500 years and we are the hamster. We're doing the same thing over and over, and all of we want to be the good guy. And I know from experience, I had fuck up my child, so I got to make my wrong right.
It's so crazy to me that our stories are so similar, man. It blowing my mind because my mother had me at 16.
Hmm.
We both the oldest of nine. You know what I'm saying? I just wow.
No,
Like
but
my
this is
father
divine.
wasn't in
This is
my
divine.
father wasn't in my life for a while. I had trauma with my mom, and it's crazy. Maybe I did need to hear from you, and because I can't have these conversations with my mom for real.
And let me tell you something. And mommy, if you're watching this, is no disrespect to you, because I love you with every part of me. But this is a personal journey for me. And the more I grow and the more I heal, I realize I got to go places I don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? Just like when I started my journey, I had to go and pick up that 6-year-old girl that was molested as a child. I had to go for her and I had to pick her up and say, listen, I hear when I go do this for you. Because your inner wounds is real. We suppress them, but they're real. You know what I'm saying? And this journey is personal. I have a son, I have a grandson, and I believe in healing the generation. My healing is for generations before me and generations after me. This is my digital memoir. One day I gonna be gone, and my son is the only child I have, and he gonna need these kind of videos, and he gonna need people. He gonna need a village. Like, your mother, I really love you, and she really tried. So I am the sacrificial lamb. So if my mother is watching, mommy, I love you with everything. I have grace for you because I'm a mother too. Right now, we're in the best space. But I love you. And one day we're going to sit down and we're going to have a real conversation, mommy, because it is real. This 43-year-old woman has been suppressing things for a long time. And I bleed on other people. I bleed on my child. I bleed on. I've had good man before my husband come in my life. And I bleed. I bleed and I bleed because I didn't understand the importance of healing. So now this journey I'm healing on, I'm going in the places. I picking up things out under the rug, out the closet. Come, let's deal with this. So for me, it's necessary and it's mandatory. And this is nothing pause. This is nothing to say nobody is bad, blaming anybody. This is my story. And nobody's gonna silence me for my story. You know?
What would you like to tell that inner child that, did not get a chance to really be a child, that ended up having a child as a child? What would you tell them if you had the chance? Because a lot of the time as adults, it's really us trying to do right by the inner child that wasn't done right. Like you trying to do right by your child because you as a child wasn't done right. You're trying
Yeah.
to help other people children because you know what I'm saying? Like I've been told that, man, you're so good with kids. Why you don't have more kids and this and that, the third? And it's like, because I've seen what people do to children. I've
Yeah.
experienced what can be done to children from even family members.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that memory for them.
Yeah.
What would you tell that child?
Well, I'm a person that thinks that nothing is by coincidence, just like this is not coincidence. Everything that happened was supposed to happen. I know in my bloodline, I was supposed to experience certain things to be able to be the strength for somebody else. Because this is a going and coming life, right? We going and coming and we helping each other on our walk. So I wouldn't have been this transparent if I didn't went through some things. You got to go through some things to be able to stand 10 toes. You know what I'm saying? Because you know the bigger picture. So what I would tell little Chanel is you always been a fighter. You always been strong, even when you didn't know you were strong. But at 43, we don't want to be so strong. We want to be fragile. Handle me with care. That's why I want to be fragile. We don't need to yell and we don't need to scream to get our point across. We could have the conversation. You did your best and you're not a victim. You know what I'm saying? Because victims sometimes stay there. You know what I'm saying? We victorious. We conquerors. So for my little girl, I paid forward with my son. Because my son came out of prison and we have such a beautiful, this is why I believe in healing, because my son used to fear me. I put fear in him. Respect, that's one thing. He fear, but now we communicate. Now, you know what I'm saying? It's like I reparenting again from a different place. You know what I'm saying? I'm making my runs right. So I paid forward with my son. And I have a grandson. And just for other people that really serious about growing, like look at me. You know what I'm saying? I got a whole husband that love me. And he the got to deal with a lot because I just gained to healing and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But he just still got to deal with a lot. But I'd have to explain to him like, Rudy, I really don't have the skills and the tools. Like I raised being aggressive and strong and all these stuff, and I'm learning how to, you know what I'm saying, sit my ass down and cool out and let a man take the wheel. So I'm learning.
I feel, man, that was beautiful. I would really like for that to just sit with everyone right now. Like let what you said just resonate for a little bit. That I think was the best explanation of soft life era I've
Mhm.
ever heard. Because for a
Thank
long time I've resented that term bad. You hear me? And usually our show is very lighthearted and jokey, no matter the topic. But I think there's a lot of people that need this because, like you said, that story needs to be shared. You're not alone in this, and there's somebody that I hope is going to hear this. They're gonna know that this is why you should sit to that inner child. This is
Yeah.
how I should talk to me from now on.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. Chills. Mufasa. All right. So why do you think dads, right, get such a bad rap while mothers are assumed to all be great or at least doing the best they can? I've always said that women and mothers have good publicists
Yeah.
because if you think about it, there's a huge double standard. If you
Mm-hmm.
see a woman out with her child, you just see a woman doing a great job. That's what she's expected to do. It's all good. If you see a father doing the same, he's looked at like he should be put on a pedestal because he's doing what dads are supposed to, but most ain't. You get what I'm saying? Why do you think that is?
Because women have more support, and it's just like a norm. And when we have conversations about what a man do us, we don't have our little cliques, and we get our little passy, everybody coming with their storyline. But if we really honest, because it took me having a son to realize that no, women are weird. Women are weird, and they don't take a no, this is what, listen, I like a ghetto therapist, right? So there's a lot of stories that are shared with me for my opinion. And women, they break their heart every time. Women, they do things that don't make sense. Like, the man, okay, I had one child, right? That's it. I never had another child. But women will go out there, make children for a man, knowing are you in there together? Are you know it was just a hookup situation, but you want to make a whole human with this person and expect the storyline to be miraculously a fantasy story? Like, why bring a child through that? Like that's not even responsible. But we do this all the time, and we have our passy to back us up and say, yeah, he is shit. And the poison continue. When me, I saw how I destroy my son and his father relationship. I did that. Because my son was like his first child, because he have a first child, but the first child, that's another story. So my son is like his first child, and he couldn't have been more proud and more this and more that. But because I didn't understand how to handle rejection and stuff like that, I turned into a terrorist. But I had everybody on my side. 'Cause when I start to cry, everybody gonna cry with Chanel and her, cause she dramatic and everybody feeling sorry for me. So he's a bad guy, but he really the bad guy. But we have a way of not taking accountability. Me saying they ain't a man that's bad guy, but if woman honest and realize that men they got deal with a lot. Think about it. You don't agree? Like the things like dealing with a woman that
No,
toxic,
I agree.
it's
I
like,
agree with you wholeheartedly. I just seen CJ say this though. Nah, man, out here does fake like they put on protection and send off the further light. What we talking about? This who are we talking about? CJ, come on, man. That try
woman
again.
control the womb. So if I control my womb and
Oh,
you want to go back, I gotta be
oh,
responsible for my womb. So I don't play that game with it. No, that won't belong to me. So at the end of the day, listen, me playing the children thing, the children are popping out of this womb. I had one because I
you
made sure
see?
that my second child, I tell myself, my second child, I have to be married. So I didn't have no other kids.
You see that I've been saying that,
Mm-hmm.
women need to protect their womb.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you don't respect your womb enough, but you want everybody else to.
Mm.
Like when I see things like, I wish I could choose my baby father. Hold up, you can't choose your baby father. There ain't nothing you could do. Okay.
Because that's a lacking accountability. A lot of women don't. You see how I coming out here being honest? A
Hmm.
lot of women, they reach to that place where they could look in the mirror and say, listen, I fuck up my life. I fuck up my child. Everybody want to be, I been a good parent. I give my child everything. I was saying that for a long time when Jaja was in prison. I been a good mother. I give Jaja everything. He just want to be a gangster, blah, blah, blah. Until I had to get real. I like, no, I caused that. I did that. Single mother, me, strong me. Cause he had a father. But father couldn't be a father with me. I was crazy.
What led you to that point? How did you get there from the I'm toxic, I fighting everybody, I'm the terrorist, to I need to take accountability for what I've done? What led to that?
Meeting my husband. I was 34 years old. Came to Florida. When I went in St. Croix, I used to work Hess. The ego they up here. When Hess closed, money low. So this is why sometimes people gotta respect the dark times. Because dark times they make you come back to reality. So when I come up here to Florida, it was pretty much basically like I had two unemployment check. And I come up here like shit. How I gonna figure out? I gotta figure out life. But I'm the, what I'm saying? I'm a survivor. So no matter where I go on this planet, she not gonna make it. But I end up meeting my husband, right? And it was just like the way he had adored me and just fascinated with me. Because I never had somebody opening door. He was just doing a lot. And I remember like, but when he see me, because no, if I always had meant to love me, but really had just to meet me. And he was just so fascinated. And we used to sit down and my husband is very calm and quiet, opposite to me. Like he would be the one with the class and I would be the ghetto one. If we're looking at it like how society look at people, he don't yell, he don't scream. So it was like he kind of started rubbing off on me like, wait, what? Like the shit you see on TV, fantasy. But it was how he had loved me, make me look at me like, no man, I need to love me like that too. Who he say I want to be.
Mm,
So that's
mm.
and but with my husband, I could have tell him anything. Cause like when you meet a girl, right? You meeting a person, she ain't really telling you all the backstory. She telling you what you need to know in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And she want to be looked at as
That's
whatever.
men and women. That's men and
Exactly.
women. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So when I meet my husband, I didn't like him. I didn't like him like how he had like me. So it was very easy for me to tell my side. Like you just use it like a psychologist. You know what I'm saying? Tell you about all my different escapades. Tell you about the good, the bad, the pretty, and the ugly. Women tell you is women remember. And he just like still I love me. And still and then and then the 3 months he proposed to me, but I was very honest. 'Cause 3 months when he proposed to me, I said, you could be a serial killer. And you know what? Even though
Three what? 90
3 months,
day fiance say what?
but I didn't get married in 90 days. I get married in 2 years. But that's how much the man had loved me. But you know what? What I took away, right? Because remember, I tell you I never lived with a man, right? But what I took away, 'cause in that time, it was like, what? Would he propose in 3 months? That was a thing, right? But looking back now that I get into healing, that was not right. Because here it is, this is a man that done no life more than me. And so basically it's like we're not equally yoked. Yeah, we having a good time and it's a nice, but our relationship is more than just how you feeling.
Hey, hey, I hate to cut you off, right? But that equally yoked vibe, right? People don't understand that equally yoked don't just mean religion.
Exactly. It's
It
true.
man, it means y'all on equal footing. It means more than that. I'm ready to carry this burden with you. A yoke
Exactly.
was literally what they put on the oxen. It went over and you had to bear the burden with that other oxen. That's equally yoked. Are you sharing the burden together? I
Exactly.
just wanted to put that out there.
No, but
But
it's true.
please,
So I went into a marriage with no skills and also not understanding self-love like why not today. Like who I am today, I got to big up my husband for introducing me to her, right? And making me put in the work. Like what I'm saying, he make me work and he always stand firm because when you's a person dealing with abandonment, codependency, mommy issues, daddy issues, self sabotaging is listen. self-sabotaging is something that's very common. So no matter how much I wanted to leave my husband, you know how much time I say I don't want to do this? Plenty. And he keep, listen, the man just what he just love me. You know what I'm saying? Like I the chaos I bring to the man wall, and it's like he just see the most beautiful person in the wall.
That's awesome. So let me ask you: Are you or were you the running type? Were you
Yes,
the one who like, oh no, this
yes,
it like self sabotaging, like,
yes,
okay, this going too good, some coming, I gotta go.
yes, yes, yes. Exactly. I gonna end it before it end. That's that was me. I that's why I live alone. Cause you remember, I was 34 years old before I lived with somebody, and that was my husband. I never lived with a man before. I didn't even know I was capable of living with somebody. I didn't know. I thought them things just ain't for me. Cause I don't have patience, I don't have tolerance, I don't have time.
You used the word a little bit earlier, right? And I believe, I want to know how you feel about it. I believe that a door is, in a sense, it's stronger than love. Hear me out. Like if somebody adores you, like everything about you, right, is just sweet. Everything about you
Yeah.
just touches the heart. Everything out, like from your head down to your feet, from the stupid stuff that you just say when you're being goofy, when you wake up, you get crossing your eye. They love that too.
Yes.
Do you? How you feel about that? What do you think about it?
My husband teach me, my husband teach me I've always been somebody that I don't know if you're familiar with people pleasing. So
I am. I never do it, but I'm familiar with people that
okay.
have.
So I had codependency, abandonment issues, and people pleasing. So I've always used to be somebody that would care about you more than myself. So it really taught me in Woody chapter. Okay. Every relationship teaches you something about you and if you pay attention, right? So it really teach me in this chapter here is how much I should be valued and put on a pedestal. When I tell you open door, every man he kiss me. Like he pay attention to my love language. Hold my hand. If I crying, he come and he rub me. He come and he give me space because I live alone all my life too. So I didn't need my own space. There's a lot going on with she. But he teach me how it is to be soft, how it is to allow somebody to take care of me. Because remember, I've been strong, independent, but just being okay with I don't have to worry about the bills. I don't have to worry about Jaja in jail and I dealing with this by myself. I have my husband. I come home from work. I stressed out. Rudy, let me tell you what happened. Rudy, fix it. That's a beautiful thing because I didn't have my father to do those things with me. So in my 30s was, that's I'm learning love on a different level, especially being somebody who came into the relationship with a lot of toxic luggage. So somebody like me getting married to somebody like Rudy in society is like, how she got Rudy? No, that's real.
how how has that, let's bring it back around, how has that affected, or what's the relationship with Rudy, you and your son? Because we talking about mother wounds. Like, have I you come together in a space to where I could reconcile with all of that and from your past?
Yeah, one thing with Rudy 20 years older than me. So what Rudy bring to my wall is peace. So when I had met Rudy knew how much Jaja I would always talk about Jaja. So because he older and he dey listen and he want me, Jaja became priority too. That's a good way to get him water because she love her child. So if you want, so Rudy took that approach, but he also is a beautiful person too. So he pretty much it's a beautiful addition because remember, Jaja don't know how it is to have a stepfather. It's just been his mother. So That's something that it'll be because we all live together. You know, Jaja live here with us. So but we all have such a beautiful relationship. Like I'm enjoying it. My son been free 3 years now, and we just enjoying the new creating new memories, so
That's awesome. That's awesome. If I got my timelines correct, you had your son at 16. You
mhm.
didn't live with a man until what was it, 34?
Yeah, 34.
34. So that's 18 years. From 16, 18 years is when 18 years later is when you first moved in with a man.
Mhm.
Um, from that Chanel to the 34-year-old Chanel that finally moved in with a man, had you been in a space at that time when you moved in where you were ready, or you still weren't ready yet?
I still wasn't ready. I took a chance. Cause that's one of the things I told Rudy. Cause even when I got married, when me and Rudy got together, I said, "Well, I don't love you. I like you." Because I only was 3 months. But I'm a very honest person.
You trying Will Smith and Jada Rudy over here, man?
No, but I told him, I said, I like you. I ain't in love. I said, but you know what? I gonna take a chance because at this point I was 34 years old, and I felt like I didn't want to be old and be by myself. That's one of the things I saw my grandmother like alone, and that was a fear for me. So I was like, I gonna take a chance. And this guy seemed like a nice guy. So that's really what it was. And he knew it. And then I grew to love him. But I had to even learn how to live with somebody. You know how much time I listen, I ready to go, and it's like, where you gonna go? I say, because when we were getting arguments, I ready to pack up. And it's like, let me go on the porch and cool off. So that 6 years we've been married and 8 years we together, and we still go through things. We still go through things, and that's life. But I love the chaos because it teaches you areas that you need to work on.
You seem to be an example of this. So I want to know if you would give this advice to younger women. Taneja says it does always be like that, but the one who love you more than you love them is who really shows you what you don't see in yourself. Are
Yeah.
you one of those that subscribe to the get with the one who loves you more than you love them?
I actually did that with my life because, but then I gonna be fair because remember, I know what's growth, I know what's self love, I know what's personal development now. So the relationship where I had loved them, like my son Farah and I, we would have probably still been together had I have these tools. Cause we had love each other. We were like best friends. But I had a lot of trauma that I never dealt with a child. So it was just too much. I couldn't have like I wouldn't have want to be with me when I look back, on the relationships that I've had, and I was not good for them. I was toxic. That's why I live alone because you can't tell me nothing. So who I deal with? I want good man, and then I want a good man to don't tell me nothing. Think about it. That's a disaster.
It's funny because I think there's quite a few women that feel that way. They want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I've asked in the past, is there such a thing as a difficult woman? I've gotten mixed answers, but the top answer from women is no. There's no such thing as a difficult woman.
Yes, we
As a
difficult.
man that has dated women, there absolutely are difficult women.
Difficult. Difficult. Sometimes I create argument for no reason. My husband is peace to the dead. I
Oh my
cannot you.
God.
My husband is peace to the dead. Sometimes I did not create a problem. It's like it's too much peace. Like
Why? Why? Why?
I didn't say
Why?
Rudy. I didn't say Rudy. You gotta be crazy to marry me. Cause I said, but I also tell my husband. I said, Rudy, one thing I gonna always give you credit. I said because as much as men had loved me before, none of them married me. None of them took it to that level where they investing in me. I said, but you took that chance with me knowing all the baggage. Cause let's be real. My son father had that would be like the best version because I was a virgin, I was younger, more beautiful. Here it is, I 34. I wouldn't say used up because I was never that girl, but I'm coming with more trauma, and that man married me. And that man took the time and had the patience.
Now, considering what you just said, right? Would you give your son that advice to be with a woman like you? Would you give him advice to, be with a difficult woman, or what would you coach him with?
We don't have real conversations. And that's why glad I have a husband like I have. So he not only hear what I'm saying, but he see. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of parents they say one thing, but their life is a whole nother thing they telling their child. So it's like you can't give your child advice when you don't even live in what you're saying. So I had to have real conversation with my son because remember, he know me at different levels. He know a young mother, he know this mother. He know a crazy mother, a calm mother, whatever. So I had to keep it real with him. I had to keep it real because he's 26 years old. I didn't make sure, tell him that, women are very emotional. I know, with men, I didn't want to have all these different women, whatever. And I just kind of explain to he like, because I'm a woman and we more emotional and we might say this. And then we did a different time because he also tell me, mommy, this a different time. And then y'all turn up, you know? So, but we don't have real conversation, but I'm all for letting him experience life because ain't nothing like when you go through your own story and you experience it, it hit different,
True, 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 true. So you're the guest. You get the final word. What would you like to leave our audience with? A lot of people have been in here. There's been a lot of engagement. This hasn't been our usual conversation, but I loved it. It was necessary. What would you like to tell the people?
I want to first thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast because just like what we talked about backstage, this is something that is personal to me. To the listening audience, healing is so beautiful. It's not easy. You're gonna have times you're crying, you're gonna have times you're laughing, but it's so beautiful. It's beautiful to heal, it's beautiful to share. And I know we come from a society where you telling people your business fine, but somebody got turned on the light. We all can't be in a room with no light on. Somebody got turned on the light and bring a different perspective. So I hope if anything y'all took away from me was that I was able to go in the closet, go under the rug, all in places I was hiding, suppressing, and face my stories and change my life. And now my son is able to see his mother that he see as a queen, because I'm like a queen in his eyes. But he also could have grace for me and realize that a lot of things I did it out of hurt and pain. So I'm making my wrongs right. And I'm a human and he have grace for me. And to me, that's my reward.
I want to thank you for coming on and for being so transparent and vulnerable because you never know who's in the comments and you left it all on the field tonight. So I appreciate you coming through and would love to have you back anytime you're ready, to contact us. It's always a great show. It's always we go deep and we get intimate and I appreciate that because too often we try to portray a perfect image of ourselves, not only to the world, but especially on social media. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you so much for coming on. And as for me, I just want to say, parents, it's okay to say sorry to your children. I feel like we're the generation of breaking generational curses, and we need to continue that thing. We need to keep that going. This is the generation of It's okay to get healing. It's okay to like take the skeletons out of the closet and tell our children what's going on. Because back in my day, my parents didn't tell me shit. I still don't know my father's middle name. Like, everything was a secret.
Yeah.
I think it's time that we really leave it all on the field, just like Miss Chinell White did tonight, and prepare our children for the future, because they are the future and we're not going to stop that. Eventually, we're not going to be here, and we need to prep them for what's to come.
Yes.
And that starts with being vulnerable and telling them what they need to know and telling them where they came from and who we are. All right? So, that's Miss Chinell White. I'm Jah. It's the same difference. We out. We love you. Peace.